tell us a little bit about how this film started and what made you want to make this film?
Yeah, so this past year I was a freshman in college at Sarah Lawrence in Bronxville, New York. And during my spring semester, this was like my final project in my documentary class. And my teacher basically said we could do whatever topic we wanted to do. I was definitely limited with COVID, but I came up with the concept of darkness. I think I was having a conversation with my friend just about how it feels when you're in the darkness at night, and we were just kind of rambling. And I really enjoyed that like visceral poetic rambling that goes on just about space and environment. So I decided to find a few kids on my college campus that would talk to me about darkness. I only ended up using two kids. But I wanted to specifically find people who have a positive experience with darkness and find comfort in it, just because we can perceive it as such a negative, isolating place. So that's basically its roots, to find the positive comfort in darkness. I think in my head, anyone can have a positive experience with darkness, but I used one of my college roommates who I had that initial conversation with, because I recognized she had this like psychological experience being from North Carolina in the woods where it gets really dark, but she loves the darkness. And then the other subject was a student who I didn't even know, but I had seen him roller skating at night just throughout the campus. And I was like, he might have an interesting experience. So I invited him to sit down with me, and he was super open.
How many nights did you shoot over?
It was all throughout my spring semester that I made this project. So I would just go out at night sometimes by myself and film around streets and campus. But it was only like 2 hours. I would sit down with my subjects and talk through them, like their experiences. I kind of took anything. It was like a conversation. I was like, nothing is wrong here. You can tell me anything, whatever you want to tell me. I really liked in the editing process how it made them feel together, even though they don't know each other at all. Yeah, it was just kind of a blending of their stories.
How did you choose the music?
Yeah, that's the other thing. I wanted to choose something that was a little more bright, because I did try creepy music, like weird violins that were a little eerie that you hear in like horror movies.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to be unsettling in that nature.
And then you mentioned editing. What was the editing process like for the film?
That was a lot of watching through all these interviews, because I had two other kids that I interviewed, and each one was about like a solid hour of talking. And it was just so much. It was very overwhelming. I think that was my biggest chunk of confusion during the whole project, just going through and seeing where I wanted it to go, because documentary is such a experimental, medium. So I ended up deciding on these two students, and I really like their tone of voice. They're not too excited and trying to like animate me, but they're engaging enough where they have these stories that you want to listen to. So I cut it down mainly where I had their own stories and then separately, and then tried to blend them together in a way where you don't lose their story. I wanted them to speak for themselves, but be able to feel like they're not separate. That was a big thing that I didn't want, where it's just like one interview and then another. I wanted them to come back together. It's definitely got this element of it where we're not just hovering on the subject. Like, we pay attention to the way we weave the stories and the way we shoot it, like unique ways because I could have sat down with my subjects and just got them to talk to me and then put it on the internet, but I wanted to put them in a dark space. I put them in a black soundstage with a little spotlight and talked to them there, and then walked with them at night and didn't talk to them while they were really in their element at night. So I think there's documentaries where they really don't want to mess with the way things flow, but there can be unique ways to portray it.